What's going on, people? Welcome to Fight Network's Downtown Studios. I am John Ramdeen. He is Robin Black, and we got to talk about one of the biggest names ever in the history of fighting, Conor McGregor, the 155-pound, and if you talk to Conor McGregor, the 145-pound champion, taking a little sabbatical from mixed martial arts, trying to figure out what is going on, expecting his first child, making more money than he's ever made in mixed martial arts before. And if you talk to his coach, John Kavanagh, he said all the money's great, but that was never the plan. The plan is to travel the world, to learn the best techniques and secrets of martial arts so we can have that in our arsenal. The fact that we've become very rich is just a byproduct of the fact that we could seek out knowledge.
True.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Clearly the guy has developed an appreciation for money, and he likes to spend it by buying like 8 cars at a time. But when you earn your money, you do what you want with it.
That's right.
Often the very successful will say they didn't chase money, they chased knowledge, they chased growing, they chased getting better every day. That's why this guy is the 145-pound champion and the 155-pound champion. He is. Yeah, and is because he's chasing growth. That's what he's doing. He's getting better all the time. You knock out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, that's undeniable. You get taught a lesson against Nate Diaz and you use that for growth. That's what he did. And I don't want to pick on Ronda Rousey. She didn't do that. She didn't do that. Conor McGregor immediately said, what are my flaws? Where are my weaknesses? What did this man exploit in me? And how do I make those my strengths? He did it the night of. Became better, and then took out Eddie Alvarez. And if anybody out there is watching that fight or a fan of Conor McGregor, do not downplay Eddie Alvarez. This is one of the great fighters ever at 155 pounds, and he took that guy out like nothing. If he's still on this path of growth, if his goal is still to get better every day as a martial artist and keep improving, that ability to keep improving, keep learning how to keep learning, that's where the strength lies. If he keeps doing that, man, I can't wait to see him come back.
There's a whole bunch of options, clearly, for Conor McGregor. Everybody in the UFC wants their piece of the Conor McGregor pie. Didn't Cody Garbrandt say he wants a piece of either Jose Aldo or Conor McGregor?
Can you blame him?
I can't blame him. Ferguson, Khabib, Nick Diaz,
hey,
Tyron Woodley. Exactly.
You know how much money you'd make? If I lived through that thing, if I lived through those 5 seconds, I'd be rich.
Yeah, that's it. If you're Conor, what is the most interesting fight for you? Is it, hey, can we put together a fight between me and Michael Bisping so I can try to win a title in 3 divisions? 185 pounds. Or Tyron Woodley at 170 pounds. Or is it just give me the biggest names humanly possible and we'll just keep racking up wins?
At his root, as somebody who has studied the martial artist and the man, he is motivated by growth, improvement, self-actualization, and reaching the highest pinnacle possible. That is Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's the test. That is the next true test. Can you really do that? Oh, well, I showed you I could get up against Mendez. I showed you Eddie Alvarez, one of the great wrestlers at 155 pounds. I stopped this takedown like nothing. Can I do it against this guy? He's also motivated by money. At least he seems to, or at least like to play that publicly. If that is so, Khabib in Russia in a stadium is being talked about. 80,000 people. Yeah. Plus you get to go play Rocky. If I can change, you can change. We can all change. You can do it. You can do it. So that kind of covers all the bases. It really depends what the guy wants to do. The thing about it is, when we're watching, you got to make him fight this guy. You don't make people who have all the leverage do anything. He sold more in pay-per-views last year as the headliner than every single fighter in the UFC sold in pay-per-view numbers the year before. Just his fights.
That's insane.
Just his cards. You talk about leverage. When the company that you work for made more money because you were there than they made with every other person combined, you don't get to tell them what to do. He tells you, you go, Conor, what do you want to do? How do we get rich next? And he says, we'll get rich in Russia. Or we'll get rich because I want to fight Aldo again. Or you'll get rich because I'm going to fight, the 170-pound champion. You have to do it. If I own the company, I want to get richer. That's what businesses do. And they get richer by letting this guy do his thing.
But you're saying he's a guy that likes to test himself skill-wise. If that matchup happened to be the Khabib fights out there, the Jose Aldo fights out there, but for him, he's like, I like that groovy Lando. I think this guy, I'm just saying as an example, as a martial artist, I want to test myself against a guy like that. Does the UFC say, okay, It doesn't matter who's standing across the cage, or do they step in and say, no. It does not work that way. We need to have structure. We need for things to make sense because, quite frankly, Joe Rogan was talking, I think he was on his podcast, and he had Dana White there, and they were talking about Nick Diaz. And apparently the UFC had offered Nick Diaz the rematch with Robbie Lawler. You want to see that fight. I want to see that. Everybody wants to see that fight. For Nick Diaz, it just wasn't a big enough fight for him. He respects Robbie Lawler, but he is here for the biggest fights humanly possible. And Tyron Woodley, the champion, is calling him out. And Dana White said, well, we're not going to put that fight on because it doesn't make sense. And Rogan's like, but I want to see it. And Dana said, well, I want to see it too.
Yeah.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
You can make any of these fights.
And that's kind of the thing. It's like a lot of this conversation ends up with people outraged. Oh, I can't believe they're going to make that fight. This is BS. I can't handle it. And typing all over the place and sending tweets and stuff. That only sells pay-per-views. That only sells the product. The real challenge for any business right now is to keep you engaged. We could do anything. We could play any video game, watch any song, music video ever made in human history. There's hundreds of thousands of hours of content being uploaded to YouTube every day, maybe millions. We could watch anything. And the challenge for a company is to get you to watch their thing. So if you're freaking out, I can't believe Nick Diaz is going to fight, Woodley. Well, you're engaged now. You're spreading the word for them. As a result, there's no wrong. From a business standpoint, from a purist standpoint, you're like, I thought the best were supposed to fight the best. That's what I want. But I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. I think I lost that battle. I think we've lost that battle, And as a result, if Conor McGregor made your company say, let's just say $200 million, and he says, I like to fight a guy with one win in the UFC. I find him entertaining. Trust me, I'll get people excited. I'll get them angry. I'll get them freaked out. I'll sell your thing for you. I'll make you $200 million. I mean, who is any company to go, no, I don't want you to do that. I'd like you to fight somebody else. I mean, unfortunately now, the inmates get a very big influence in how the asylum is run, especially the craziest of them all, Conor McGregor.
There's so many fighters lining up, throwing their name into the Conor McGregor hat. Nathan Diaz, when you look at the last time we saw him compete, I'm not coming back unless it's for the third Conor fight. What happens if that fight doesn't materialize over the next half year or the next year? Do you believe that Nathan Diaz, if Conor McGregor gets signed to defend his 155-pound championship against somebody not named Nathan Diaz, or goes down to 145 pounds, do you believe that Nate will take another fight, or no? He's just going to wait around.
I mean, I think put yourself in Nate Diaz's mind.
Yeah.
Just like this is something that's very hard often for us to do. We don't feel like these are very similar people to us, but they all are. Nate Diaz loves putting his gi on and teaching kids jiu-jitsu, going home and rolling up the fattest one he can on his Nate Diaz rolling papers and sitting in his nice place, training with his buddies, playing some nunchucks, going laying on the beach, drinking tequila, chasing girls. That stuff is awesome. And hey, we're thinking in 11 months, maybe we'll make this fight, you'll make another $10 million. Cool, call me when it's ready. I'm gonna go back to teaching kids jiu-jitsu in my gi, rolling with my buddies, showing everybody in the gym I'm still a better fighter
But
than
then that date comes, and you have to be ready to face Conor McGregor. If you're teaching kids jiu-jitsu and you're drinking tequila, are you ready? Are you constantly at the top of your A game?
Dude rolled off the beach after drinking tequila and beat him the first time.
Is it true?
Well, whatever his version of that truth is true, which means I was training, my level, just running the odd triathlon and drinking the odd thing. Whatever level the Diaz brothers are ready at, they are always ready. They're ready now, and they're ready forever. And if I'm Nate Diaz, if you get bored in 8 months or not, this is entirely up to Nate Diaz. And this is what we want. This is what the fighters want. This is what you want as a fan, is Nate Diaz, sir, fight when you fucking want to. Fight when you want to. So if you want to in 9 months, go fight some cat. If you don't, teach jiu-jitsu, train with your friends, beat up training partners, go home and smoke big ones on your Nate Diaz rolling papers available in stores near you.
But there has to be some sort of pressure out there where, yes, you want to take the biggest fight imaginable. That is the third fight with Conor McGregor. If that fight is not presented to you, you're a fighter. You want to fight.
If you want to fight.
Right. If you want to fight, you go out there and you take a pay cut.
No.
So if you're fighting Joe Blow in the 155-pound division, just some random guy, a rematch with Michael Johnson, for example, is he going to get paid the same amount of money as if he would be fighting Conor McGregor?
No, but
Right.
again, you are Nate Diaz, and you run your life now. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about people knowing you. You don't, whatever you've been after, you got it now. You run your life. So when things come your way, you go, Conor McGregor for $10 million. Actually, I want $12 million. Call me when it's ready. Or Michael Johnson for $400,000. I don't feel like it. If you give me $3 million, I want to fight him. If you give me $3 million, I'll fight him. You won't? Okay, I'll sell more rolling papers.
Yeah, I guess that's
It's his life. He'll run it. He'll run it how he wants to.
But you would expect people in his inner circle would have influence to say, if you take a fight with a Michael Johnson and you lose that fight, you don't get the next Conor McGregor fight.
I'd still pay to see it. I think most of us would. You show that shot of him rocking Conor's legs and then just blasting him a few times, punching him into that choke. You get Conor coming out showing the other one. We'll all pay to see it. And I think that fight is there for Nate Diaz forever. And as I'm talking this out, thinking from the mind of Nate Diaz, it makes me really happy for Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
It really does. Guys like this have earned this right to have this kind of control over their own lives, and Nate Diaz has it, and that's cool.
Yeah, because of Conor McGregor's influence and the fact that he has been able to make so many fighters out there a couple of extra dollars.
But as you mentioned, they all want it. Nate went and got it.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
earned it. Fighting Conor or fighting Ronda is gonna make you rich. That is well documented. We all know it's true. So you got to go get it. Nate Diaz went and he got it, beat him, and got it a second time.
Who will Conor McGregor's first opponent be in 2017? Have to keep it locked to find out.